So let us continue the discussion on place of supply of services, and the cases are when the services are concerned with international supplies. So we were discussing section 13 in the last lecture, and within section 13 we have covered subsection 8 of section 13, which was dealing with banking services, financial services, intermediary services, and services relating to hiring of means of transport up to a period of 1 month. So if you remember, we have covered section 13 subsection 8 in the last lecture. Now let us wind up entire section 13 today in this lecture. So let me share with you the IGST Act, and let us start learning remaining services of international supply, section 13. So here is the IGST Act. Subsection 9 of section 13. The place of supply of services of transportation of goods other than by way of mail or courier shall be the place of destination of such goods. So when you send goods, when you transport the goods, the place of supply shall be the place of destination of such goods. For example, so let me share an example. I hope the screen is visible. Goods transportation services. Now, in case of goods transportation services, you can transport the goods through truck, through bus, through air, through land, sea, water, any mode. Through courier also I can send the goods which are small in size. I can send the goods through mail also, not email. Mail means through post office or through courier. Now, transportation of goods through mail or courier is not covered under this subsection. Through mail or courier is not covered under this subsection. I have to apply another subsection. Other than mail and courier, transportation by any mean other than mail or courier is covered here. And in such cases, the place of supply is not the place where the goods are loaded on that conveyance. In fact, the place of supply is the place of destination of such goods. Not the place where the goods are loaded, but where the goods will be sent. Example, Mr. X, Kerala, is an wholesaler supplying flowers. He supplied the goods to Mr. Y, Punjab. He supplied the goods flowers through truck to Mr. Y of Punjab. Can you tell me the place of supply in this case? What is the place of supply? What is the place of supply? Kerala or Punjab? What is the place of supply? As per section 13, subsection 9, what is the place of supply in this case? Kerala or Punjab? Section 13 is not applicable in this case. Section 13 is not at all applicable because why? Both supplier and recipient are in India. So I cannot apply section 13. Of course, place of supply can be determined as per section 12, but that is not the purpose right now. So you must remember that when you apply section 13, one person must be outside India. Now another example. So I cannot apply section 13. Another example. Mr. X from Kerala in flower business. He supplied to Mr. B, France. That person is a French national and flowers are supplied from Kerala to France through air transport. In this case, the place of supply will be the destination. That means France will be the place of supply. And when France becomes the place of supply, no GST is applicable on supplying flowers. Why? It is there because Government of India wants our Indian goods to be competitive in international market. If you start charging GST, the rate of flower will become high. And maybe this French person will purchase the flowers from another country. So in that case, we loses the business in our country. So that is why it is the purpose that when one person is outside India, then place of destination of goods, not the place where the goods are loaded on that conveyance is the place of supply, but the place of destination of goods. I hope this subsection is clear. Next point. The next point will be related to passenger transportation. So again, let me show you the act. Subsection 10. Place of supply of in respect of passenger transportation services shall be the place where the passenger embarks on the conveyance for a continuous journey. Now here the place of supply will be the place from where you are embarking, you are taking the conveyance for a continuous journey. Now let me share an example. Again, the word is continuous. And if you remember, continuous means where there is no stopover. Stopover means where you can break the journey for some time and can take the journey later on. That is not allowed. That is continuous. Example, Air India. Through Air India, a person from Canada wants to catch the flight. Air India, for example, Air India is registered in New Delhi. For example, Air India is registered from New Delhi, but the flight is taken from Hyderabad. And the route is Hyderabad, France, and Canada. But in France, there is no stopover. The flight will stop for half an hour or 1 hour, for example. But that is not a stopover. The passenger cannot deboard. Who have to go to Canada, they have to remain in the flight. So that is not known as stopover. Now in this case, supplier is in India, recipient outside India. So the place of supply will be which place? Embarks on the conveyor. So from where I have taken the flight? Hyderabad. Hyderabad becomes the place of supply. So in case of passenger transportation, government doesn't say that since you are an outside citizen or not from India, we will not collect GST. No. Here the place will be the place from where the passenger embarks on the conveyance for a continuous journey. That's it. Hyderabad is the place of supply. Next service. Services provided on board a conveyance. Now let me share with you the act again. The place of supply of services provided on board a conveyance during the course of passenger transport operation, including services intended to be wholly or substantially consumed while on board. It does not matter whether you consume or avail the services entirely on board or some portion may be left. But this highlighted text is of no use. You have to simply remember that services provided on board a conveyance. The broad purpose is this. These including etc. These are only incorporated to remove any ambiguity. That's it. Otherwise, the main structure you must be kept in mind. You must keep in mind the main structure, the main concept, that is services provided on board a conveyance. It can be of having different forms, that doesn't matter. Shall be the first scheduled point of departure. First scheduled point of departure of that conveyance for the journey. And now they are not using the word continuous. So let me again give you an example. In this case, the place of supply is first schedule first, and Continuous journey is missing, only journey is there. Example, Mr. X has taken a flight Delhi, Saudi Arabia, France or Germany. This is what the leg is. I took a flight from Delhi, Saudi Arabia to Germany. Now, now the Saudi Arabia is not a stopover. This is sure. It's not a stopover, or it can be a stopover. Even if it is a stopover, doesn't matter. It can be a stopover, it cannot be a stopover, doesn't matter, because the continuous journey is not necessary condition for application of section 13 subsection 9. It is 13 subsection 11, not 9. 13 11. Okay, sequence is 9, but section number is 11, because sequence is based on our continuation. That's it. This is the section, subsection. Now, during this leg of journey, this Mr. X requested to watch a Hollywood movie, a Hollywood action movie, Die Hard 6. And of course, there will be some service tax or GST, whatever is the case, because some services are provided. Now, the question arises, what is the place of supply? If Mr. X is from Delhi, supplier, so let me assume that it is airline which is registered in Canada, airline of Canada. Because to make section 13 applicable, one person must be outside India. Both, if this is Air India flight and the person is also from Delhi, then this section cannot be applicable, cannot be made applicable. So this is the airline of Canada. Now, if this is the case, can you tell me the place of supply? So I have taken this service of watching a Hollywood movie on board air, on board that flight, that plane. Even though I am watching the movie during the leg Saudi Arabia and Germany, the first scheduled point of departure of that conveyance was Delhi. Delhi becomes the place of supply, and Delhi government will get half this share. I hope the concept is clear. Next point. Today we will wind up section 13. Supply of OIDAR services, online information and database access retrieval services. It is section 13 subsection 12. Now let me show you the act again. It is section 13 subsection 12. I hope the screen is visible to you. The place of supply of online information and database access or retrieval services shall be the location of the recipient of service. Shall be the location of the recipient of service. That's it. Now explanation is also given. I'm not discussing the explanation with you right now. This is the explanation of section 13 subsection 12, but I'm not discussing this explanation right now. For the time being, it's very simple. That location of recipient of service is the place of supply. So the place of supply is LOR, location of recipient. That's it. Now explanation is also there, which I have not discussed. Explanation of OIDR is pending. And this definition. So let me show you this definition now. This definition is given in section 2, clause 17, I think. Let me see, clause 17 of the IGST Act. This is basically online services like Google. When you book any advertisement on YouTube, it's OIDR services online. Purchasing this software or Microsoft Office, purchasing directly online through Microsoft is OIDR services. Purchasing antivirus directly is OIDR services. Like for example, I will show you the definition, but let me give you a small example. Mr. X, New Delhi. He purchases antivirus of Norton, for example, and maybe this company is in Russia, but online it is purchased online. It is purchased online. So one thing is sure, section 13 is applicable, subsection 2, and in this case the place of supply becomes New Delhi, not Russia, because everything is online, happening online. Now what is necessary for us to know is what is this OIDR services, and we have been discussing these things, location of supplier, location of recipient, but do we actually mean, what do we actually mean by this? Now technical definition we will discuss now. Before discussing OIDR services, let me give you an idea about location of supplier and recipient. Still the topic is not complete, section 13 is still going on, but meanwhile, before proceeding further, I would like to wind up these three definitions. Then I will proceed to wind up section 13. Now what is location of, or let me complete first, let me first complete section 13, then I will discuss some definitions. But OIDR is necessary to be discussed right now, so let me show you the act. And you can yourself see that what is this OIDR. Almost 99% services are OIDR services, basically in IT industry. When you purchase anything online, maybe you want to watch a movie online, it is possible that that service is nothing but OIDAR. So let me give you the definition of OIDAR. This is yes, section 2, clause 17 of the IGST Act. And this is OIDR. You can have a look. Let me read it for you. Online information and database access or retrieval services means services whose delivery is mediated by information technology over the internet or an electronic network. Like when you purchase antivirus directly online, then there is no need that the supplier gives you a CD at your home, or supplier brings some physical goods at your home. No, you should be attached on the internet, and automatically the files will be transferred in your programming, files will be transferred in your drive, laptop by default. When you make the payment, by default the entire antivirus will be activated. So it is what, where the delivery of this service is through electronic means or information technology. Not only this, and the nature of which renders their supply essentially automated and involving minimum human intervention. Now it does not involve in fact any human intervention. You make the payment, by default you will get antivirus on your laptop. It requires minimal or in fact no human intervention, and impossible to ensure in the absence of information technology. And practically it is almost impossible to avail such services if you don't have information technology. Like if you don't have laptop, you cannot avail this service. So these are some conditions which are satisfied for any service of OIDAR, where the service delivery is mediated by information technology, no human intervention, and impossible to get these services without information technology. So you have to check on case to case basis whether it is OIDAR or not. It also includes some other electronic services. So these are some of the examples only. It doesn't mean that only these are OIDAR. As I have told you, the word includes means it is inclusive definition. Apart from these examples, any other thing can also be OIDAR if fits the definition criteria. Now, with these examples, we will get an idea about OIDR. Advertisement on the net. When you watch YouTube, advertisement comes. So YouTube is providing advertisement services to the person whose advertisement is coming to you. It's what? Nothing. OIDAR. Cloud services where you can store your data on some payment. It's cloud service. OIDAR. Reading ebooks, watching movie, music, software, other intangible through electronic means, telecommunication network. OIDR. Providing data or information to any person in electronic form through computer. OIDR. Online supply of movies, television shows, music. OIDR. Digital data storage, online games. These all are OIDAR services. So one thing is sure, that OIDA services is only through electronic means or information technology. In these cases, now most of the Indians who are comfortable in technology avail such services. That is our government says that. Now maybe you may be a company outside India, but since location of this recipient is in India, in that case, GST will be collected on such supplies in India. If you watch any movie online by making some payment, if you purchase any antivirus online by making some payment, clearly check the tax invoice. You will find that GST is charged. Why? Why GST was necessary to be charged? Because of this OIDAR services. Because in India tax will be paid, so GST must be there. So this is my section 13, subsection 12. Explanation is still pending, which I will discuss after some time. Let me first wind up section 13. So location of recipient will be there in case of OIDAR. Now 11th. It is now in case of services, in case of goods, goods are tangible goods. Goods are tangible. We can easily identify, but normally services are intangible. So what another remaining section is that to prevent double taxation. To prevent double taxation. In income tax also there is a concept of preventing from double taxation. To prevent double taxation or non-taxation of services. If government thinks that this service is taxed twice, one in India and one in another country, government can make some new rules. If government thinks that one service is neither taxed in India nor in another country, so government says that it's non-taxation. So in such circumstances, we have to apply section 13, subsection 13, and it simply says that government has the power to notify any supply where the place of service will be the place of its effective use and enjoyment. If now most of the cases will be covered in the above circumstances, but government says that in case there is any service which is either double taxed or not at all taxed, then we can notify separate rules for that, and we can clearly say that where is the place of supply. Till today, no single notification has been issued under section 13, subsection 13. But this power government has kept. Otherwise, if you ask me an example, that what is the example, or can you give me an example, can you give us an example of section 13, subsection 3? My answer is no example, because till today no such service has been notified as per section 13, subsection 13. So let me show you the act. Section 13, subsection 13, as you can see the language on your screen. In order to prevent double taxation or non-taxation of the supply of a service, or for uniform application of rules, the government shall have the power to notify any description of service or circumstances in which the place of supply shall be the place of effective use and enjoyment of service. So this was the last subsection of section 13. Till today there is no such notification, but this provision you must know. Now I have discussed with you all specific services, but residuary services concept is left, 13 subsection 2. What is this residuary service? Yes, if any service is not covered under specific services, then you have to apply subsection 2. And what it says, the place of supply of services except the services specified in subsection 3 to 13 shall be the location of the recipient. However, provided means exception, that where the location of the recipient of service is not available in the ordinary course of business, the place of supply shall be the location of the supplier of service. That's it. So what is this all about? Residuary cases of providing services. It is my section 13, subsection 2. Now in my entire section 13 there are 13 subsections. So what are specific services? Specific are covered in section 13, subsection 3 to 13. So they have their own rules. Any service which is not covered under these sections by default will be covered under section 13, subsection 2, and it says that the place of supply is very simple, location of recipient. However, location of supplier will be the place of supply if LOR is not available. That's it. So it's very simple. If location of recipient is not available, then you have no option but to treat the place of supply as the place of location of supplier. With this, my section 13 is over. I think the concept is clear to you also. And now I will discuss some definitions which have been used in the topic of place of supply. So let me start discussing some definition. First definition. What is location of supplier? I will show you that. It is defined in section 2, clause 15 of the IGST Act. I will show this to you. But before that, let me tell you that there are 5 different categories given. So first, preference. So these are like preference 1, preference 2, preference 3, preference 4. This is how you should define location of supplier. First, preference. If place of business is available for which registration has been taken. If place of business is available for which registration is taken, then the place of supply is this place of business for which you have taken registration. Like a businessman has taken the registration uh, for Panipat is a place in Haryana. Suppose I am a businessman of a city Panipat in Haryana, and for which I have taken registration. So this is my place of business. So Panipat becomes my location. So I should not use the word place of supply. In fact, I should use the word location of supplier. What is the location of supplier? This place of business. Panipat is my location. If I have taken a registration for any place, as well as I am making the supply from this place, so this is my complete concept now. I have taken the registration from Panipat, but I am not supplying the goods from Panipat. Then that is not the case to be covered in first preference. If you have taken the registration for a place of business and the registration is from Panipat, and from Panipat you are making the supply, then Panipat becomes your location. Now, if you are making supply from another place of business, from another place, then where you took registration, I'm simplifying the language only, act I will show you now. I may be having godowns also, but I have taken the registration only from Panipat. But suppose I have a separate godown in Karnal. For example, I have a separate godown in Karnal, Haryana, or it may be New Delhi also. So I am now supplying from Karnal. So in first point, I call that as place of business. In second, I call it as fixed establishment. Fixed establishment. I have taken the registration from Panipat, Haryana, and I am making this supply. Suppose I am a supplier of clothes. I am supplying clothes from Panipat. Panipat becomes my location. I have a godown in Karnal. Panipat is my registered place of business, but I am not supplying the clothes from Panipat. I am supplying from my godown, which is in Karnal. This godown is known as fixed establishment, and now this Karnal becomes the location of supplier. So this fixed establishment, which is in Karnal, becomes the location of supplier. Third point, now you are making supply at more than one location. I am having multiple godowns. I am making supply from more than one establishment. I am making supply from more than one establishment. It can be my place of business plus my fixed establishment. It can be anything. Then what is my location? The location of supplier is that location, that establishment which is directly concerned, or in fact you can say which is most directly with the provision of supply. Which is most directly concerned with the provision of supply. Suppose you are making the supply from Panipat, not only from Panipat, plus Karnal, then we have to check which is most directly concerned with the supply. That place is your location. And in absence of any of the above four, any three, If you are making supply neither from the registered place nor from any fixed establishment, nor in such a case, then your usual place of residence, तो जहाँ पर रहते हो वो location है, usual place of residence is the location of supplier. Now I cannot skip this chain. First I should try to satisfy first point, then second, then third, and then fourth. So this is how you determine the location. Location is not where you are standing. Suppose you are standing in Odisha, supply is done from Delhi, which is your registered place of business. Then as a layman you can say that my location is in Odisha, but as an expert you will say that your location is Delhi. So this is how you determine the location of supplier. Making supply from more than one location, same supply, some item from that place, some item from that place, then the place which is directly related to the provision of supply is the location of supplier. And fourth, in the absence of any three above, your residence is the location of supplier. Exactly reverse is the location of recipient. Exactly reverse location of recipient is section just one clause earlier than location of supplier, 2 clause 14 of the IGST. It is exactly similar. Exactly. The only difference is there I was using the concept. There also we have 4 preferences. At that time I was using the concept where it is supplied, preference 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I will say that where it is received, that's it. Where it is received, that's it. If received at registered place of business, this is the location of supplier, location of recipient. If registered, if received at, if supply is received at any place other than the registered place of business, so that any place is known as fixed establishment, that is the location of recipient. If received at more than one location, then which is directly concerned is the location of recipient. If other than 3 above, then usual place of residence of the recipient is the location of recipient. So exactly similar to location of supplier. In supplier we say supply, from where it is supplied. In recipient we say from where it is received. These are the 2 definitions. I will show you the act. But now I will show you other definitions also. Like place of business is having another definition. We have another technical definition, place of business. I was using the word place of business everywhere, if you have noticed. Okay, but we have a definition of place of business. We have a definition of principal place of business also. We have a definition of residence also. So these are some of the definitions which are required. Let me show you the place of business and principal place of business. And location of supplier, location of recipient. After this, I will discuss with you that explanation also. So it will take 10 minutes more to wind up the lecture. Minimum 10 or 15. Because today I want to wind up the topic place of supply except section 14 of the IGST Act. So let me show you some definitions which are necessary. Location of suppliers definition. I hope it is visible. Section 2 clause 15 of the IGST Act. Please have a look at this. Location of supplier of services means clause A, where a supply is made from a place of business for which the registration has been obtained. Location of such place. Subclause B, where a supply is made from a place other than the place of business for which a registration has been obtained. That is, so what is that place? Fixed establishment. The location of that fixed establishment. Subclause C, where a supply is made from more than one establishment, whether the place of business or fixed establishment, anywhere, doesn't matter, anything. The location of the establishment which is most directly concerned with the provision of supply. And D, in the absence of such places, the location of the usual place of residence. Now in recipient, location of recipient, exactly the same thing. I will start using the word where supply is received at the place of business, where supply is received at fixed establishment, where it is received at more than one establishment, and in the absence, that's it. So this is what location of supplier and recipient is. Now, place of business, that definition is also required. So for this, let me show you the IGST Act now. Let me show you the CGST Act now. See the place of business definition. Okay, you have to do these things. Definitions are necessary. This is place of business, section 2. So I will close 85. I will note down these clauses for you. 285, place of business. So what is exactly the place of business? Clause A, a place from where the business is ordinarily carried on and includes a warehouse, godown, any other place where a taxable person store his goods, supplies or receive goods or services or both. So normally from where you do the business, suppose if I have a shop in North Campus area, then normally it becomes my place of business. If I have a godown from where I am making the supplies, that place becomes the place of business. Or what? Or, so these are some points. Or a place where a taxable person maintains his books of account, or where a place where taxable person is engaged in business through an agent, but whatever name comes. So place of business is the place from where you normally do the business. This is the place. Now what is principal place? That is another concept. What is principal place of business? I might be doing the business from 100 at 100 locations normally, but my principal place of business is defined in section 2, clause 89. The place of business specified as the principal place of business in this certificate of registration, because when you apply for registration certificate, you have to mention what is your principal place. So you have to mention all the places of business, and out of that, what is your principal place, main place of business. This is my principal place of business. Then residence. Everything is defined in the act. This is the definition of residence. As you can see, usual place of residence. So it is defined in section 2, clause 113 of the act. In case you are an individual, then the place where you live, and in case you are not an individual, then the place where the person is incorporated or otherwise legally constituted. So these definitions are necessary. Now fixed place is also defined. This is fixed establishment. Section 2, clause 50 is the fixed place. Fixed establishment means a place other than the registered place of business, which is characterized by a sufficient degree of permanence and suitable structure in terms of human and technical resources to supply services or to receive and use services for its own needs. This is my fixed establishment. Now, which places are mentioned in your registration certificate? all the places from where you are doing the business, but one out of that will be principal place. Others are also the places which are in the records. But there, other than all the places, there might be some small offices or small godowns from where normally I don't do the business. That is known as my fixed establishment, where I have some staff, etc., who can supply the services, or from or at the place where I can receive the services. As a businessman, I may be having my 10 main godowns, but I may be having 50 small godowns also, which are not required to be mentioned in the certificate. I can temporarily own those godowns. When I applied for certificate, there was no such godown temporary. But after applying for registration, for example, for 3 months, I have taken that godown on rent, and that is known as my fixed establishment if I supply something from that place. So place of business is the place which is registered. Other than registered place also, there can be some places which are known as fixed establishment. So these things are used when you apply the concept of location of supplier and location of recipient. So these definitions you have to do. So don't forget to do these definitions. Place of business, section 285 of CGST. And principal was 288, I think. 89, 289 of CGST. User place 2113 of CGST. And fixed establishment also you should do. It was 2 close 50. Now, this is one concept. Now, still some other definitions are left. I'm giving that for self-study. What is import of? We have covered domestic and international supply. So, what is import of goods? Export of goods. Now, it looks very easy, and of course, it is easy. Import means bringing something into the territory of India. Export means supplying something outside the territory of India. So this is simple. But import of services and export of services is not so simple. Import of services and export of services is not so simple. Now that is for your self-study. I will discuss the doubts later on in case you need. So you please note down the relevant sections. So this is I'm giving for self-study. I hope this screen is visible. What I have written, is it clearly visible? Kindly reply, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
So import of goods, export of goods, import of services, export of services. Now let me give you the section numbers. Okay, these things are the definitions which you must do. Now, one point was left, and that point was explanation of OIDAR services. Explanation to section 13(12) related to OIDAR services. Now, let me have a brief discussion on this explanation. OIDAR services are basically those which are online. This is shown. Now see what could have happened. Mr. X from New Delhi from a Russian antivirus company purchased antivirus. Now it is a clear-cut case. There is no problem. The place of supply is the place of location of recipient New Delhi. I have discussed that example. Now suppose for 3 days I am in Malaysia, and when I was in Malaysia I purchased this antivirus. Now answer is location of recipient. I hope the point is clear. Answer as per section 13(12) still be location of recipient. If in Malaysia there is a person, Mr. Y, who resides in Malaysia and purchases antivirus, kindly see this example carefully how tax evasion could have done, which government has prevented. Mr. Y lives in Malaysia and resides in Malaysia, purchases antivirus. So if you apply section 13(12), you would have given the answer location of recipient, which is Malaysia. Please raise your hand if you have got the point that in this example my answer would have been Malaysia. Please raise your hand. Then I will tell you the relevance of explanation. A resident of Malaysia. What?
Can you repeat the Malaysia point?
Any all others who have understood, please raise your hand if you have understood. A resident of Malaysia purchases antivirus from online from a Russian company. So as per section 13 subsection 12, the place of supply will be Malaysia. If this is clear, please raise your hand. A resident of Malaysia purchases antivirus from Russian company, and if you go by OIDAR services, answer will not be Malaysia because you will not apply section 13. Those who are saying that it is Malaysia, then they are giving the wrong answer. This is what I wanted to check. So just don't get confused with OIDAR services. You must not forget that section 13 is applicable when Is the screen still visible? Is the screen still visible? Is the screen still visible? Kindly reply.
Yes, sir.
So I will not apply section 13. Why? Because supplier is outside India. And recipient is also, the location of recipient is also outside India. Say, I think I should end the lecture here because disturbance is coming. Okay, so this lecture I am ending here. Are you also facing the disturbance or is it fine? Is the voice coming?
Sir, it is pretty disturbing, sir.
Okay, so better than we end the discussion here. Now,